Malik? That's not a name for a scholar. The teacher's voice cracked through the studio lights like a whip. Laughter rippled through the audience. A few camera operators exchanged glances but kept rolling. Malik stood alone at the contestant podium, blinking behind his glasses, his shirt collar too stiff, his palms damp. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. The teacher, Miss Carter, stepped forward, heels tapping like punctuation. I mean, come on, she scoffed. That sounds more like a street name. More laughter. The director didn't cut. This was real TV, after all. Malik just looked at her. Then what should my name be? He asked softly. Her smile faltered. He didn't flinch. He didn't cry. But his fingers curled tighter around the cue cards until they bent. In the control room, someone whispered, "Do we cut?" "No," the producer replied. "This'll go viral." A slow zoom on Malik's face caught something they didn't expect, steel behind the hurt. A few hours earlier, Malik had sat backstage with his mother. "You know what your name means, right?" she asked, adjusting his collar. He nodded. "King. In Arabic." "Good." She smiled. "Then stand like one. Even if the room doesn't see it yet." Now, in the studio, he tried to remember that. But when Ms. Carter snatched his answer sheet and waved it in front of the cameras, "These are your answers. Did someone help you spell onomatopoeia?" The laughter turned meaner. "I'll prove he cheated," she hissed. "These don't match his type. From the audience, a woman in black leaned forward. Her fingers tapped once on the table. "Do not step in yet," whispered the assistant producer. "Let her keep digging." Malik's eyes met hers. He didn't smile. He just stood straighter. Then, something dropped from his folder, a photo. It slid across the stage floor, and landed near Miss Carter's heel. She looked down. And froze. It was a picture of a courtroom bench. And the judge in it bore her name. The studio fell quiet. Ms. Carter picked up the photo. Her fingers trembled slightly. She turned toward the panel of guest judges, suddenly unsure. One of them had risen. The woman in the black suit. The one who hadn't spoken since the show began. She walked calmly to the center of the stage. "Ma'am, this is a live broadcast," the host stammered. But the woman reached into her bag, pulled out a thick folder, and handed it to the host. "Read the funding line on page 1. He read. Then blinked. This show is funded by a $550 million grant from my office," she said. "I'm Judge Regina Malik. And yes, he's my son." Gasps. Cameras swiveled. Ms. Carter stepped back. "But I'm not here as his mother," she said, eyes locking on Carter. "I'm here as the judge who sponsors this entire educational platform. And today, I'm revoking that sponsorship." A silence heavier than applause filled the room. "And Malik?" He didn't smile. He stepped forward, placed his bent cue card on the podium. And looked straight into the camera. The host stammered, we can take a break." But the judge raised a hand. "No," she said. "Let it finish." Carter tried to speak, but no words came. She looked at the audience, once amused, now dead silent. Then someone began clapping. Soft. Steady. It was one of the youngest contestants, a girl no older than Malik, sitting backstage with wide eyes. And slowly, more hands joined in. Malik stayed still, then turned to Ms. Carter. "You said my name wasn't for a scholar," he said. "But I just won your game." He reached down and picked up the photo from the floor. "This is who I come from," he added, voice steady. "And I'll carry that name into every room you think I don't belong in." Carter's lips parted. No apology. Just shame flickering across her face like static. Judge Malik didn't look at her again. She walked to her son and fixed his collar. "You stood like one," she whispered. Malik didn't reply. But this time, he smiled. The camera stayed on them, not moving. When the program resumed weeks later, there was a new host. A new curriculum director. And a new set. But something remained, a framed picture at the studio entrance. Malik, age 11, standing with his cue cards and a quiet fire in his eyes. Underneath, one line engraved. He didn't change his name. He changed the room. Back at home, Malik kept the photo his mother gave him on his desk. He never framed it. He just placed it between his dictionaries and a small card that read, "Your voice is your legacy." And each time someone asked what Malik meant, he'd answer without flinching. "It means king." Then he'd turn back to his books. Not to prove anything. But because he knew he didn't have to anymore. And in that quiet confidence, a generation found its start. The name they mocked became the name that rewrote the rules. Malik didn't demand applause, or force forgiveness, he simply stood, spoke, and let the truth echo louder than the insult. In a world quick to judge and slow to listen, stories like his remind us that power doesn't always shout, sometimes, it walks in quietly and leaves a door open for others. If this moment stirred something in you, share your thoughts below and consider subscribing for more stories that reveal hidden strength. And remember, the most powerful names aren't the ones that sound impressive, they're the ones we refuse to let the world erase. He didn't raise his voice. But the world leaned in anyway.